So I have here today a 2002 GMC. I think it has about 134K on the odometer. It was told to me from another shop. For whatever reason, they didn't want to do a starter. But it came in, customer goes, put a starter in for me. I told him if he had it diagnosed, he goes, yeah. So the AAA guy went out there to try to jump it, smacked the starter. Apparently he says that they heard some kind of noise from the starter trying to crank, so he goes, yeah, it is a starter. What I initially did here when this truck arrived, he didn't want to diagnose it. He just said, put a starter in. I didn't want to do that. So this is the starter relay here. I put a jumper across it, 8730, and the starter cranked, engine cranked over and started. Did it multiple times, and the vehicle had no issue starting and running. But when you would go to the ignition and try to start it, you'd hear no noise. Some of the stuff I put back together, but I started my testing kind of where the ignition switch is at. It looked like he's had an aftermarket alarm at one time. I don't know if you could see that over there. You see those pins right there, aftermarket back probers. He's removed his aftermarket alarm. But I want to show you, per the wiring diagram, how I went about this. So the problem I was able to duplicate this morning, it started up with no problems. This ignition fuse, key on, engine off, right here, had 12 volts, come down here. This fuse had 12 volts. I initially thought there was an issue here and here because it felt like a loose pin fit, but fuse is okay. Came here to the purple wire, 12 volts coming out of this. Come to the 85 pin when the problem is present. There is 0 volts. So I've seen a lot of problems with these fuse boxes, just from every make and model. I took this apart. I didn't see anything underneath here. I didn't see any loose pin fit issues at all. Put it back together, the car started up once again. So what I did is, with my wife holding the key in the crank position, you'll see that I have one tester down here, and I initially had the other one up here because I thought it was something within this fuse box. And when the voltage failed to appear, it happened here and down there. But what I did is, again, my wife is not in here, so I can't duplicate this again. But what I can say is, when I was looking at my good old Swifty and nifty vintage Vantage, because my Vantage Pro is on another vehicle with another intermittent problem. So as you can tell, what I did is I started moving the harness, and the voltage started on both top and bottom started dropping out, and it did it right around this area. And this is where I'm at now. So I have the channel 1 there with this yellow wire, and channel 2 down here. All right, this is where I have things right now. What I can say is the open is between here, this point, to that point. And honestly, I think it's right in this elbow, somewhere right here in this elbow. This is what I'm getting right now. So try to crank it. The bottom voltage is channel 2 where the green wire is at in the bottom. See that? Yeah. Nothing. And like I said, you can see where my channels are at. Yellow's at the fuse box, channel 2's at the very bottom of the wire loom's at, and there it is. So it's gonna be an open wire. I'm gonna fix it. Just thought I'd share what I'm doing. A side note, I may make a video on this one. This thing has an intermittent crank no start. It's 97 with about 66,000 miles. Pretty clean T-Bird. That's for another story. Just thought I'd show you what I'm doing today. We'll see you.